Dr. Lampkin, Chairman Lambert, Dr. Bennett, the platform, distinguished members, faculty and staff, alumni, board members, special guests, friends and families of the graduates, and most importantly, graduates, good afternoon. I bring you greetings from your neighbors at Fort Riley, Kansas, home of the nation's 1st Infantry Division, also known as the Big Red One, that I am privileged to command, our nation's oldest division. I was really honored when I was asked by President Lampkin, who is himself a retired Army general and a former dean of the academic board at the United States Military Academy, my alma mater, as you heard, and his alma mater as well. When he invited me to deliver your commencement address, of course, I have to admit that the thought of being summoned by a former dean of my institution did make me wonder if there was not some small chance that there was some piece of academic requirement that I did not meet and that I was finally being called to account for it after 31 years. But the good news is, fortunately, I did legitimately graduate. And so now I'm just simply honored to be here and not worried by this opportunity to accept his invitation. Now, it is clear to me, have no doubt, that I am aware that of the many lectures that you've experienced in your years of study here at Kansas Wesleyan, the one that I have just begun is your last one. And that puts me in a very precarious position of being all that stands between you and your graduation. And so as I considered what I should impart to you today, I began looking around, looking for great and memorable commencement addresses just to provide me with some ideas. And I found long speeches, short speeches, dry speeches, political speeches, politically incorrect speeches. But to be honest with you, I did not find any speeches that graduates themselves found to be memorable. And so I'm under no illusions today. And I would tell you that, of course, your memories right now are filled with other things. Your memories are filled with the experiences of the past, especially the past years of your study here at Kansas Wesleyan. Your thoughts on what you went through and also on what is ahead. And are also on this Army General, keeping you from getting started on the rest of your life. And so in that sense, you come to the moment that is part of the great collegiate academic experience, and that is the commencement address. And so I accept your apologies in advance that you may not remember these remarks or my name in the years to come. Nevertheless, I do intend to leave something with you that you can draw upon that may be of value to you as you journey through the rest of your life after Kansas Wesleyan University. And the source is far less important to remember than the application that I really do hope will come after our time together this afternoon. So with that, here we go. Now, as a person who has lived for over half a century, and even more so as one who has spent several of those years in combat zones around the world, I have gleaned a few ideas about life. The first idea, and this is an important one to recognize right up front, is that I have not yet learned all that there is to learn about life. And neither have you. Be eager to learn more about life until you no longer have it. The second idea is this: A life of service is a life worth living. Now, you might conclude that I'm speaking of military service, and I am, but only in as much as it is one type of service. And it certainly is one I encourage because of what it does to your character and your sense of the importance of life and your privilege of subordinating your own selfish interests below the selfless interests that lead you to help others. But truly, service takes many different forms, not just the military form. And based on the degrees that I saw highlighted that you are about to receive and your programs of instruction, you are educated and equipped to provide service in myriad ways. The pathway of service chosen is less important than the acceptance of a self-imposed obligation to do something for someone else. To do an act of kindness to a stranger, to put oneself at risk to protect or to rescue someone else in a catastrophic event, to tutor or to mentor a fellow human of a different generation who is struggling to fulfill their God-given potential, to commit oneself to a noble cause greater than you are, yet impossible without you and people like you. This is service, and this makes life worthwhile. The third idea is this: life is not easy, and you will experience adversity. Yet, if you are resilient, you can bounce back from adversity and grow, even though and even through the traumatic events that confront you. These adverse experiences and these problems. And it brings to mind a quote from a sometimes controversial American psychiatrist and author, Dr. Theodore Rubin. And his words were that the problem is not that there are problems. The problem is expecting otherwise and thinking that having problems is a problem. Don't you love professors and the way they see things? Well, I wish to go a step further beyond what Dr. Rubin observed, and that is what to do when the problems, when the adversities show up. To be resilient is to bounce back. To become resilient is to continuously work to gain strength. In each of us, there is an emotional component, a physical component, a spiritual component, and each of them must be exercised and developed if you truly want to live. And they are connected. Of course, you might experience adversity in any one of them, which might become compounded if the others are also weak. On the contrary, you may find that adversity that confronts you in one of these areas is buffered by strength in the others. And I would add that the Army's approach to building resilience, because we recognize the importance of it, in our approach there are two other components as well that join the emotional, the physical, and the spiritual. And they are, I call them collective components that are simply described as family and social components. And they refer to the essential connectedness of human beings and to the necessity of being connected to other human beings, those who are our loved ones or our relatives, those who provide us with an outlet to connect beyond our families. And I encourage you to view yourself in that same five-faceted way and to hunt for the good stuff in life while helping others find it as well. And you will bounce back when you're confronted by adversity. And you will become stronger, never defeated after every challenge. Life then becomes a pathway of continued growth and endless potential. And that is living. Which then brings me to a final idea. And that is, if you are alive, you still have a purpose to your life and you have work to do. Now, the great challenge of life and one of humankind's great questions is, what is my purpose? And trying to find it may cause one to wander while wondering. My advice to you is, first, remember the earlier ideas that General Brooks talked about. You still have more to learn about life. Your life of service to others is the life to live. Life is tough, but resilient people grow through the tough times. And then don't waste your time trying to pick your purpose or trying to force your purpose to go in a certain direction. Life is too short to waste, but it is long enough to be lived. You are soon to be graduates of a faith-based institution of higher learning. And because of that, you know that you don't get to determine the length of your life, but you do get to make choices about what you will do and how you will live while you have life. Being a soldier and being a commander in combat has brought me into a closer view of mortality, as you might imagine. And I spent lots of time with soldiers who survived close encounters with death. Sometimes there can even be guilt in the memories and in the emotions and even in the spirits of those who survive an event that members of their social network or their family did not survive. And there may also be physical injuries to deal with. And I'm telling you the same thing that I tell them. Until you're dead, you are alive. And you must do something with the gift of life. And so the idea here is, if you're still alive, you have an opportunity to do something more, and that you must do. I am confident that Kansas Wesleyan has prepared you well for what is ahead. And I want you to have no doubts about the uncertainties of what is ahead of you and what awaits you. Have no fear about the things you don't know or are not sure you can do. Just live, and as time goes on, beginning right now, you can look back on all the things that came before and know that you were alive and that you left a great wake of impacts behind you just because you were you. So congratulations, graduates. You made it, and this experience is now behind you. God bless you as you begin the next part of life's journey. Remember this day. Remember each other. Remember Kansas Wesleyan. Please take time to thank the faculty members and the university staff who made your education possible. And thank your families and the supporters who lifted you up and sustained you while you were going through your program. Thank you for letting me address you today, and thanks for being who you are. Thanks for what you're going to do with your lives. Have a great life, and come to see us sometime at Fort Riley. Thank you very much.